What does devolution look like in the UK? Have you ever wondered how power is shared in the United Kingdom? Devolution is a fascinating process that transfers political authority from the central government in Westminster to Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. This system allows these nations to manage certain policy areas independently while still being part of the United Kingdom. In contrast to federal systems like the United States, where states have constitutionally protected powers, the United Kingdom's devolution retains ultimate authority with Parliament. This means that devolved institutions get their power from acts of Parliament, which can be changed or revoked. The structure of devolution in the UK is quite interesting. The devolved governments are responsible for areas like healthcare, education, and local transportation. However, some powers such as defense, foreign policy, and immigration remains under the control of Westminster. Each of the devolved nations has its own legislature: the Scottish Parliament, the Senedd in Wales, and the Northern Ireland Assembly. They also have their own executives like the Scottish government. England, on the other hand, does not have its own devolved legislature, so policies affecting England are made by the UK Parliament. One key feature of devolution is the asymmetrical distribution of power. Scotland enjoys broader devolved powers compared to Wales, including partial control over income tax. Northern Ireland's devolution has unique provisions tied to the Good Friday Agreement, which requires power sharing between unionist and nationalist parties. Another important aspect is parliamentary sovereignty. The UK Parliament can legislate on any issue, even those that are devolved. However, it usually seeks consent from the devolved legislatures through conventions like the Sewell Convention, which requires their approval for relevant UK laws. Funding for devolved administrations comes from block grants provided by Westminster. These grants are calculated using formulas like the Barnett Formula, which adjusts funding based on spending changes in England. In practice, devolution allows for regional policy differences. For instance, Scotland has abolished university tuition fees, while Wales has implemented a phased ban on single-use plastics. Northern Ireland has its own distinct healthcare system. However, there can be tensions between devolved governments and Westminster, especially regarding funding and overlapping responsibilities, such as environmental standards after Brexit. From a limited government principles perspective, devolution represents a careful approach to decentralization. It offers regional autonomy but lacks the constitutional protections found in federal systems like the United States. Critics might argue that Westminster's retained supremacy could lead to central overreach, while supporters may see devolution as a practical balance that maintains national unity without sacrificing local governance. The UK model shows how decentralized governance can function within a unitary state. For those who support federalism, it highlights the need for clearly defined powers for subnational entities, which is not present in the UK's convention-based system. The reliance on parliamentary goodwill rather than legal safeguards may serve as a cautionary tale for those who prioritize jurisdictional certainty. Current challenges include discussions about power distribution after Brexit, especially in areas like agriculture and trade. Responsibilities that were previously shared between Westminster and devolved governments now requiring new frameworks. Disputes over funding fairness and calls for English devolution, such as regional mayors, add further complexity to the situation. In essence, UK devolution strikes a balance between centralization and federalism, focusing on administrative efficiency rather than rigid constitutional divisions. It reflects ongoing negotiations between national unity and regional self-determination, providing a unique case study for understanding how to balance sovereignty with localized governance.